You're listening to the sound.
Hi, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Lori Edwards Azuru, and today I would like to talk to you about going through hard times. I've been through a lot of things in my life. I may not look like I have. It's nothing but the grace of God. I am 46 years old. I'll be 47 this year. I wrote a book about my trials and tribulations called Why Do You Cry? And a lot of the material that I want to talk to you about is from my book. I'll probably be reading some things from it and just kind of sharing some things with you as you go through the journey of life and understanding why things have to happen to you in the way that they are and what God is trying to show you and teach you, and just how to maneuver through life and its problems that come along with it. And there are a lot of problems that come along with life, and dodging the problems doesn't always solve it, because I think I spent the first 35 years of my life dodging problems, not understanding that the problems were there to grow me and to make me strong. So stay with me and I will be back. You're still here? Well, good. I'm glad you're here. That means you're looking forward to getting some help. Now, I have my bachelor's in psychology, and I am in the master's program trying to obtain my license for counseling, so that I am not a professional counselor. I want you to know that, but I am on my way to being one. This is what God has called for me to do, and I've really found out why I had to cry so many tears and why I had to go through so much in order to relate to others in what they're going through. So I don't want you to think I'm a professional counselor. I am a minister of God. I do minister in women's ministry, and this is what I love to do. I love people, and I love sharing my insights and being able to help someone. It is my ultimate goal, is to please God and to help others get through trials so that they can get to the place where they can help others as well. That's the whole purpose of Jesus dying on the cross, was for us to become like him, so that we could be a witness and be an example and be like him, Christ-like, in order to help other people. He suffered, he went through, we suffer, and we go through, and we help others. So anyway, I don't want to quit babbling on, and just want to get on to the word. Okay, the first part of my book is the introduction, and when you first open my book, the first thing that God told me was, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you, but to give you an expected end. I was so mad at God, because everywhere I turned, everywhere I looked, t-shirts, billboards, I would see this Jeremiah 29:11 through 13. And I used to get so angry with God, because I was thinking to myself, these are the plans you have for me? Plans that my whole life is destroyed, my job is gone, this is gone, these are the plans you have for me? I don't like your plan for me. I can do bad all on my own. Not understanding that it was a foundation. God had to tear down the old house so that he could build a new foundation that was built upon him and on his word and on honesty. And he was trying to get me to a place to where he had to dismantle me in order to rebuild me and to make me right. So I didn't like the foundation process, and that was probably the first few years where God really started dealing with me about my foundation. He needed to rebuild me. And so he does have plans for your life. No, it's not always easy, but it is much better than the devil's plans for your life, which is to sift you as wheat and to kill you and to drag you to hell so you can be with him forever. So you choose God's plan or you choose the devil's plan. There's only two choices that you'll make. If you don't choose God's plan, you automatically choose Satan's. No one ever chooses their own plan, because their own plan, most likely, if it's not God's plan, it's the other person, the other guy's plan. So that is our first lesson that I really want to talk about. And I'm going to pause this for a minute so I can regroup and come back with what I want to say next. Okay, I am back. Part one of my book, I've skipped on. I told you what God was doing. Part one, Katrina. The reason why I named part one Katrina was basically because of the storm that went on down in the South. Katrina was probably one of the worst hurricanes ever. And the thing about Katrina is that no one had ever really experienced a storm that great. And although the winds were blowing, there were warnings on TV. They were telling them to get out, evacuate, evacuate, evacuate. Most people did not have the resources to evacuate or did not know how bad that storm really was, so they didn't evacuate. Nevertheless, they were warned to evacuate, and many did not evacuate for whatever reason, if they didn't have the resources, or they chose to stay and to weather the storm, or maybe they just didn't think, because they lived there for so long, how bad the storm was really going to be. Well, Katrina was how my life was. I had weathered so many storms. I had been through storms, but I had never experienced a storm like that was coming into my life. The warning signs were there. The trees were blowing. God was talking. I wasn't listening. I was thinking I can handle my own life. I went to church my whole life. I was raised in holiness, apostolic holiness, in the choir director, praise dance leader, praise dance teacher, leader for 15 years. Just whatever you can imagine. I was over the junior choir, directed the choir, just all kinds of different things that I did. And I thought that was my salvation. I thought that was my life. And every time a storm would come in my life, I would cry and beg God and plead and have a fit. And God would always move the storm out of my way. But this time, he wasn't going to do that. He was ready for me to grow up spiritually. And therefore, so when the storm came, the name of the storm was divorce. And it was because I will take the blame for the majority of it, but I do believe that people do make the choices that they make. And the devil, what he does is he sets you up. He'll know that the other person will really want that thing, but he'll make you do something stupid to solidify what that person already wants. And that was me. And I was warned by God not to step out the boundaries of marriage, not to step out and talk to other people. I wasn't, doing anything that I would consider that was that harmful or bad. But when God says cut off relationships, even with people who are just friends, who are just your friend, and God says to cut them off, then you obey God and cut them off. And that is what I did not do. I was not kissing on that person. I was not having any kind of relations. I just was talking to that person and met that person to give them something that I promised them that I would give them. And in that act of going and being somewhere I shouldn't have been cost me my marriage. And I will not say that that was the totality of it, because there was a lot of events that happened before that were adding up to him wanting to walk out the door. He just really didn't have the guts or the reason to leave. But when I did what I did, the devil set me up. Therefore, it gave him 100% a reason to walk away, and he took it and ran with it. And I don't blame him. The way that I was and the type of person that I was, even though I was saved, I would have ran too. It's the honest to God truth. I would have ran too if I was married to me. And I asked a lot of people, are you willing to marry who you are? A lot of people I know, a lot of single women, want to get married, but you have to ask yourself, would you marry you? Would you put up with you? Most people wouldn't. Most people would want someone to put up with them, but they wouldn't put up with themselves. And so I was one of those people. So God just basically dismantled me, took everything away from me, took my husband away. I lost my business. I had a successful business at the time. I had a beautiful home that sat on the largest property on Grissom Air Force Base in Peru, Indiana, the largest property. I was in all the local newspapers because of my business. It was successful, and I lost my business. I lost my home. And I went down to nothing, because God was dealing with me and he was trying to get my heart right. He said, what would it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? And I am going to end part one with Katrina with just, a warning to those who are feeling that storm, feeling God telling you to fight for what's right. knowing that God is telling you to fight and you're saying, God, I don't know how. Well, one of the things that I did learn, and I wanted to share this with you, is the red button. This is for all the single women who are dealing with men who they know that God said leave them alone, who they knew even before God told them leave them alone. They had enough sense to know leave him alone. But because of sin and the entanglement of sin, it causes you not to have enough strength to walk away. Okay, I had a small interruption there, so I'm back to finish out what I was talking about concerning the red button. The red button is a matter of control and power that maybe that is, I'll just use an example of a red button that you would push a missile. Like the president has a red button, and he has a key to it, and it has a dome on it, and it's locked, and the only person who can push that button is the president. But the president can also give the key to someone and give them the authority to push that button to send that missile out, to interlock, to intercept what it is that's coming toward them that is of danger. So the ideal of the red button is what the Lord gave me, as a missile that goes out before you, that ignites danger, or destroys danger, something maybe that you cannot do for yourself. So when it comes to men, when I was dating, I dated, I'm going to talk about that, the different people that I dated after my divorce, and it was a mess. And I didn't have the red button then, but soon after, maybe 7 years down the road, I discovered the red button, and it really helped me. And basically what the red button is, and I'll tell you now, and then we can talk maybe about the men that I dated and what all that meant while I was dating on another video. I'm going to try to go through the book chapter by chapter, and I named the chapter after the different men, but not their real names, just sort of a name that's close to their name so they know who they are. But, you won't know who they are, but they know. And if they keep their mouths shut, no one will ever know. But anyway, the red button basically represents you telling God, push the button on that relationship, Lord. And I guarantee you, if you push that red button and say, God, I want you to dismantle, destroy, torpedo, missile, blow up the relationship that I am in with this person that I do not have the strength to walk away from, I guarantee you, God will break up with them for you. He will do it every single time. It can be a relationship, it can be a job, it could be something that you maybe don't know whether you should be in it or should do it, or maybe a place where you're living. No matter what it is, God will take care of it for you. So I just say, God, I need you to intercept, I need you to intervene, I need you to destroy this and sever this relationship for me, because I can't do it. And every single time that I have prayed that prayer, God has done it. He has taken the men out of my life that I was not able to break up with, or maybe they had a hold on me, or but in doing that, you also have to be strong, because the devil's not going to take no for an answer, but he will give you enough grace to walk away from that relationship, or he may just totally turn that person's heart away from you, and they'll walk away, and you'll the only reason why is because you prayed that prayer. And I've seen God do it over and over again, and I know that it does work, and I know that it is true. But if he does do that for you, then you have to tell the Lord, I will not return back to that relationship, because of course the devil's going to try to tempt you and have you come back to that relationship as well. So I'm going to end the video here. I don't like, I know when you're watching videos, they get to be too long and it gets boring. So anyway, I'm going to end part one, Katrina, on this note. Just the warnings. If you can't get out of something, you ask God to get you out of it, and he will. And we're going to move on to the second part, which is Rita. That's the next storm that came into my life after Katrina. I hope you follow me and stay with me. God bless you. I hope that you have a wonderful evening and that you've learned something this evening. God bless.
Listening to the sound.